Hi everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Natalie, and this afternoon, it'll be afternoon by the time I get this out. It's the first day of Kwanzaa, and last year I participated in doing the Kwanzaa spreads that Queen Auset and Veronica developed together. I posted them on Instagram. This year, I felt like I would probably enjoy doing it live a little bit more. So, so that's what I'm going to do. So the first day of Kwanzaa is called, focuses on UMOJA, which is the principle of unity. So last year, I made some journal entries, and I'll just show the first pages where I put the actual spread with my picture of the cards I drew, because it tells us what the spread is and what they all mean. And then I did my journaling on the pages behind. But so this year, or this day, the first day, the color of the candle is black, and it's the candle that would normally be in the center. And it feels very meaningful, to be invited to participate in a practice that celebrates the Black diaspora, the African diaspora and community. It's an honor. It really feels like an honor. So the deck that I felt called to work with today, unsurprisingly, is the Dust to Onyx. So this is the cover, one of my favorites. It's one I got this year. It's gorgeous. It feels like the right one to use. The day, the color of the day, and the candle for unity is black. This is a deck that Courtney Alexander designed, thinking in terms of the entire community and diaspora, when very inclusively when she created it. So it just, I don't know, as I looked at all of the different decks that I have that are made by Black creators, this one seemed not only obvious, so of course I questioned it, but it just also feels like the right one. So that's where I'm going to start from today, and then I kind of want to just, I'm curious about the idea of unity. So that's really my contemplation for the day today as well, is just this is what is unity? What does it mean? When it's something that we consider from the perspective of, just had to silence my phone there for a second. When we consider it from the perspective of, a greater community that is inclusive, and which features and places Black experience at its center. What does unity look like? What does it look like? So that's what I'm sitting with today. So the first card is the Tower. Wow. Wow, yeah. So that is actually a wonderful, wonderful description. I had said in the summit meeting, roundtable that we had last week, that I feel like there's still so much more that needs to be torn down, of the existing structure and aperture that we have around society that could be allowed to crumble and fall apart in order that something new could be built, and I still feel very strongly about that. I really do. So I guess that is definitely reflecting back to me, that attitude or that idea. that in order to build unity, the way I feel about it is that we need to continue, tearing down structures that really prevent it. And that includes within ourselves, and definitely includes within myself. I've really had a lot of surprising and heavy and rather profound moments where the penny dropped, and I could really identify ways in which, the paradigm of the cultural paradigm of white supremacy, and the way that we've all kind of inherited it, whether we wanted to or not, continues to play out, very unconsciously through my actions, through my reactions. And so I'm really just continuing to tear that down. Those aren't structures I want in my life at all. Honestly, anything that unity is a major. It's something I really feel drawn to in general. Why don't we all just get along? Why? What is preventing us from getting along? What stops us? And more often than not, it's unconscious beliefs. And now on every level, unconscious beliefs that we hold, conscious beliefs that we hold stubbornly, and refuse to look more closely at, or see with an open heart, or identify and understand with genuine openness and a willingness to listen. It's hard, to be raised in a society that tells you to be an individual. It feels as though it should be antithetical to the idea of unity, but it's not. In fact, unity, when it's really there and it really exists, has a tendency to really give space to each individual so that their own unique gifts can become a contribution. They can become literally a gift, that unites, that brings everyone together in a really helpful way, because we each have a place within the greater whole. But where we're competing because we think that there isn't a place, or what if there isn't a place, or if I don't push, these are all very, very, white supremacist ideas, in the way that it's being used nowadays. But, that idea that we have to push to be the best, is just simply not, it's not real. It's not based on anything real. The reality is that when everyone's gifts are valuable and valued, everyone naturally falls into place. We find our place, and we have something that we can contribute. And it's natural process. So yay for continuing to tear it down. That's tear down the structures that prevent that unity. Yeah. Okay. So the second card, how can I improve unity in my family and with my loved ones? So I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle. Wow. 2 of coins. There's so much in here about balance, obviously, but this feels to me very much about holding the balance for self and other. I love this, this lemniscate that's encompassing the heads and tails of this coin, and the way in which this woman is standing on one foot, and there's not a single part of her body that is not involved, that's not listening, that's not deeply present, that's not taking in that dynamic. Because it feels like that, that this infinity sign, this lemniscate, creates an energy. There's a movement here. Sorry for the bouncing. there's a movement, there's a lot of energy. I feel like that, yeah, that's what I'm being told here is, balancing and holding space, fully present for self and other. Understanding that that's a dance, that that's something that moves, that it's dynamic, and that it never stagnates. So what I think one moment is the answer to making that a thing, to finding that balance, is going to be a matter of what's the word I want here? It's going to be a matter of just, allowing that to shift, allowing the way in which that's achieved to shift. Okay, so third position is social network. So how can I improve a sense of unity within my social network? So, okay, it threw out the 10 of gourds, which is the 10 of cups. So, wow. So what I'm seeing in this, this beautiful, spinning whirlwind, that it feels to me like it's a collective, it's a collective consciousness. All of these individuals have this collective consciousness that these gourds are pouring into. So the way I feel called to interpret this one today is that I need to be conscious of what I'm pouring into the collective consciousness. If what I want is unity, how do I contribute that? If unity is something that is inclusive, that is wholeheartedly inclusive, what am I pouring in? If unity is going to be defined by placing Black experience at the center, with that idea in mind, what am I pouring in? What am I contributing? And I would say, too, the other side of this is, on the receiving end of that unity, and as part, not being separate from either part of this process, because none of us are. What are the things being received? And can I listen with greater awareness? Can I receive? Can I receive what's being offered, what's being spoken? Can I look closely at what is being offered? What is being contributed? And I think too, how may we all sit with that idea, that we are part of something that is extremely collective, that is ultimately inclusive at its whole, and to which we both contribute and receive. And then, like identifying what my relationship is with that, and maybe looking more closely at how I can improve that relationship, in my experience of it, for my, for the benefit of all of us. Yeah. Okay, so there is the second, or the third rather. There's position 3. Position 4, I would say, how can I bring a sense of greater unity to my professional life? Wow, that could be a very interesting, because my professional life is sort of all over the map, with different tasks. We'll see if this points to any particular one. 2 cards jumped, so we have Wow. The Sun and the Two of Gourds. Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm just taking that in. That's such a specific message. So I'm going to say that, allowing whatever that, that inner light that's happening here with this sun. Let's see, my professional life. I mean, that's, taking the inner life or the inner light that I create, and allowing that fullness and wholeness, I guess, of who I am to shine out and be something that is offered to others with great compassion, with great love, sharing that. I mean, this is so beautiful. This one, there's a gourd from an unseen source pouring in and sharing this pearl of wisdom. So yeah, I mean, be allowing myself in my professional life to hold that light and space, and to allow that light and that sun and space to guide me in my work, and then allow that to to become part of this is very emblematic to me of compassionate wisdom, the sharing, the offering, the reciprocal nature of things, that compassionate wisdom that comes through and shines through, that can be offered. So yeah, I guess it is continuing to cultivate that light so that light can be offered. And then 6, how can I improve unity, or the principle of unity in the nation? Okay, this is the 10 of Staffs, or the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands, or this 10 of Staffs in this deck, is, embracing conflict, embracing everything, and is empowered by it. This is Isis. I'm going to say that this happens through the embracing of creativity, creative ideas, creative thought, passion. There's inspiration here. There's uplifting. There's bringing together of and balancing of a lot of things in here about balance, really today. But balancing ideas, leading from the heart, maybe leading from the place inside that is a goddess, being inspired by the goddess inwardly and allowing that through as part of that inspiration. I really do want to see what Courtney says. The awakened quality of the 10 of Staffs, according to Courtney, is responsibility, status, ambition, releasing burden, and delegating. I love that. When it's dormant, and we're clearly seeing the awakened version of this, but in a dormant manner, or like I guess in a reverse card, we'd have stress, overload, unrewarded effort, strain, and victimization. So she says, despite the responsibilities that weigh us down, we have the energy to complete the task. To do so means we must grab onto what we can and break free. Here we see the excess wands falling to the sides, with 2 held above the person's head, similar to those in the 7 of Staffs. The pose is similar to the tree pose in yoga, which roots us and brings balance. At their chest sits the symbol of the Egyptian goddess Ma'at, so not Isis, but Ma'at, representing truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. She is a reminder to get back to the basics. She prevented the universe from falling back into chaos by understanding and harmonizing all polarities. We must also weigh our hearts, there we go, so that we can find the proper balance to allow us to move past the burdens to success. At this point, we can decide whether we need to find a new method to push forward or delegate responsibilities for others for the success of the whole. She also says the 10 of Staffs is about knowing your limits. And I was saying about limits earlier, right? Knowing limits. That's interesting. Okay. And then finally we have, how can I improve unity in my race? Wow. So that one brings up so many things, to the surface. Yeah. Wow. That's what a great question, and what a great deck to ask about that, because the truth of the matter is that if we don't get, as white people, if we don't get on, I don't even know how to put this, if we don't get it together, if we can't figure it out so that we can move forward and stop oppressing, and find ways, not even just stop oppressing, just find ways to be inclusive. That's active. That's something we can do. How can we create unity? We've got to find a way to do that together. Woo, that is going to be an interesting answer. All right, let's look at this. Initially, I was going to read that one as like the human race, and I think that's possible, but I also wonder, like, what do we do to create change? As Toni Morrison said, take me out of it. This is your problem. You created it. You deal with it. Take me out of it. Oh, wow. Okay. 4 of Staffs is what jumped. I'm thinking of a number of things that are all challenging to verbalize at this moment, but I'm looking at, the fact that this is a 4. 4 is the number where things become real. In all of the suits, that 1 through 3 is conceptual up to a point, and it's energetic, but 4 is where things ground themselves in physical reality. I mean, I see unity amongst a group of people who, as Machig Labdron, one of my favorite Buddhas, says, let me just find that quote. I think it's in here. I don't like to misquote things. Here we go. Her advice is carry the load of appearing conditions. If you don't carry the load of all phenomena, the remedy of peace and happiness can't liberate you. That quote popped into my mind looking at these gourds that the women are carrying, because, they are carrying a load, right? They're carrying the weight of those appearing conditions at that moment, and standing their ground. The way the staves are working really is establishing, this is the ground I stand on. So being firm, taking everything in, being willing to carry that. Let's just see what wisdom Courtney will have about this. So the awakened energy here is celebration, hiatus, solid foundation, milestone, arrival. Dormant would be inhibition, transition, postponement, impermanence, and neglect. Well, then in some respect, that feels kind of obvious then. I mean, if we're looking at those two contrasting energies, specifically, it's a way of saying, we're the way to improve unity in my own race would be, with the idea of understanding and centering, putting Black experience at the center. Don't be inhibited about it. Don't postpone. Don't, recognize that whatever's happening right now, it is the weight of the appearing conditions. Those change. They change all the time. But being awake to it means having a solid foundation. Standing literally as they are with the staffs, standing your ground. I feel like there's a lot here that's to do with integrity. Maybe carrying the weight of appearing conditions in this case would be, this seeing, hearing, observing, witnessing. Maya Angelou, thankfully before she died, she recorded so many of her own books and stories onto audio. I mention that because I can't remember which one it was. It might have been from Letters to My Daughter. It's either from Letters to My Daughter or Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now. But in it, she writes and speaks about an experience of having someone say something to her that was racist. And as she reads it, you can really hear her repeat that experience. And she sort of pauses and she says, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" And the person, the white friend on the other end of the phone, not quite getting where she's going, repeats it. It says exactly the same thing over again with no awareness. And so again, Maya stops and she says, "I'm sorry. What did you say?" And this goes on for a few minutes until the person speaking it realizes what they said. And it would stick with me as just an utterly skillful way of drawing attention to something very difficult and painful, but without ever shaming, without ever judging, without ever blaming. It was a very peaceful intervention. And finding a skillful means of intervening with those moments is really what I've been intending to find, because my intent is not to further alienate, but to further awaken. I don't want people to be alienated from the idea of unity. I want them to feel invited. What can we do? What can we all do? Because we can. It is completely within our ability to do and to create the unity that's possible. The other question that Queen Auset posed this morning comes from the Skin Deep decks of questions, and it's from the Stranger's deck. She asks, for all of us, what is your biggest hope for the future? And it occurred to me, the perfect answer to that question really is unity, right? It really is unity. It is being able for all of us to get to a place whereby the idea that we are united and that we can function from a place of unity and still hold space for difference. It doesn't mean that everybody has to be the same. It means that differences are celebrated and revered and recognized and treated with tremendous dignity and respect. Recognizing that is what brings richness to all of us, right? Is understanding how to incorporate all of the gifts and blessings and uniqueness that each of us has as individuals, as groups, as a community, and as a whole. And that really is my wish. So thank you, everybody, and for being here, for watching, and for participating if you do. And again, a thank you to Queen Auset and to Veronica Rose for both creating this and for welcoming everybody to participate, which is an ultimate example of how to embody unity. Come participate. Just because we're at the center of this experience doesn't mean you're not invited. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Tons of love. Bye.